Apple might have a hit, Gears hits a home run, and the Xbox One S All Digital Edition still hanging around. What's up, everybody? Brad here, back again. And there's been a lot of gaming news, a lot of things going on around in the neighborhood, and so here we are hanging out today. Apple Arcade. I know this may not be a big deal to a lot of people, but I think this is going to be a big deal to a very large demographic that is not a hardcore gamer. Now, if you're not familiar with Apple Arcade, Apple fully revealed it last week at their Apple event, and they pulled back the pricing curtains. It's going to be basically $5 a month, and you can play any of the Apple Arcade games on it as many times as you want, for as long as you want, as long as you're paying that $5 a month. And Apple is starting to show the titles. There's some Frogger titles, there's golf, there's this highway connecting thing game, and candidly, they look pretty dang good. I think that this might actually be a big hit for Apple, but I don't think it's going to be a big hit in the same way that maybe people watching this channel are going to think it's going to be a big hit. Because we think of gaming subscription service as things like Game Pass, Stadia, and other services that are out there. But what Apple is trying to do here is they are targeting that more casual demographic, the snackable type game world, the thing where you jump into the App Store and spend $2-3 a week to download a game or whatever and play it on your mobile device. Now, at $5 a month, Apple is putting out some pretty high quality games. They got big publishers on board, which granted, that's not cheap to do. So Apple's definitely investing pretty heavily, but these are snackable, touch first, and of course, iOS only games, at least for right now, or I believe you can play some of them on the Mac potentially as well. But it's definitely an Apple ecosystem play for $5 a month. Now, why do I think that this is going to be a big hit? Here is the exact scenario why I think this is going to be potentially a big hit for Apple. The big deal with this subscription is that for $5 a month, you can have 5 devices enrolled in the same Apple Arcade account. For a parent, this is going to be huge because parents know that kids like to go to the App Store and spend mom and dad's money on games. And there's also no in-content ads. There's no microtransactions. So basically, I think how this is going to win for Apple is they'll make the pitch to parents. Hey, pay us $60 a year and your little kids, all 5 of them or 4 of them, how many ever you want to have, plus yourself, whatever, can go to the Apple Arcade and download any game. They can download any game they want. It's not going to cost you an extra $1 per year. To me, that is huge. That is a really big deal because it does a lot of things. One, it gives your child a bit of freedom, right? They can go to the Apple Arcade and they can download any of those games that they want and have that option. 2, it's going to give parents price control, which is a big deal. A big deal. We've all seen the headlines where, oh, little Timmy ran up $10,000 in microtransactions on the latest EA game. We've all seen that happen. So from those 2 aspects alone, I think it's going to be a pretty big deal. Now, the caveat here is that you can only get this on an iOS device, but Apple's last iOS figure was 1.4 billion devices. They just have to get a very small percentage of that into their arcade ecosystem, and they will make a pretty sizable investment. The one thing we don't know is obviously how much Apple spent up front, because building games like this is not cheap. But the nice thing about a game is that it's somewhat evergreen, right? It's not like they have to keep updating the same game over and over and over again to keep it fresh, like say a Netflix series or TV content. That is a different thing. You can play the same golf game over and over. You can play the same whatever Frogger a whole bunch if you really, really want. And so that content just kind of just hangs around and matures and grows a fan base, if you will. But the one thing they will have to do, which Microsoft has done very well with Game Pass, is they're going to need to keep adding fresh content. I know this is somewhat contradicting what I just said, where a game stays evergreen, but they're going to need to keep introducing fresh content at some sort of, systematic rate to make sure that people who are playing a lot of games keep getting new content and stay subscribed. But I really, really think that this might be a big deal for Apple. And the early reviews of Arcade coming from some bigger name publications is pretty solid. I mean, it's exactly what you think. Apple is very good at the fit and finish and the polish of some of these types of games, and they know what they're looking for, and they know the demographic that's using their devices. Now, who is this competing against? I don't think this is such a big deal for, say, like the PlayStations and the Xbox or even Stadias of the world. This is definitely a shot over at the Nintendo crowd. Remember, Nintendo is often thought of the more kind of like family-friendly-ish gaming platform, and Arcade is definitely going down that same route. So I think Apple is going to do quite well here. I'm curious what you guys think if you're going to jump in. I believe you can get 1 month free, and that's definitely what I'm going to do to try out some of these games. And at $60 for the year, it's honestly not a bad price, depending on how many games get offered. As long as there's more than, say, about 10, I think you could definitely get your money out of it for a year, depending on how heavily you play on a mobile device is going to determine how good of a value is. The one big caveat to Apple Arcade, the biggest mobile games right now, one are Minecraft, which is for Microsoft, which is not included in Arcade, obviously. And then the Battle Royale genre is massive. And those games like Fortnite, Apex Legends, obviously the Call of Duty mobiles, the PUBG mobiles, the games that are playing massively, depending on your demographic and where you are located in the world, are not included. And those games are free to play. So realistically, this gaming arcade from Apple is not targeting hardcore gamers realistically in the slightest. It's targeting that casual gamer who's playing on the bus ride to work, the bus ride to school, on the airplane, just sitting on your couch while your little kid is watching whatever TV. It is not targeting the people who are going to be playing Battle Royale style games. But I don't think that matters for Apple. I really don't. I think they will do quite well with arcade, as long as they keep hitting on all cylinders once the service launches, which is in here in about 2 days, give or take, something like that. So, other things happening in the gaming world. Microsoft, it appears, has a big hit with Gears 5. At least they are playing the trumpets, showing off that, hey, Gears 5 is a success on Xbox. They are saying that in the first weekend of availability, and they had a 4-day period, which included some of the pre-days and then the first launch day, had over 3 million players playing Gears 5. Now, what I wish they would have told us is how many of those 3 million players were in the Game Pass model, because I'd love to know how many people have actually subscribed to Game Pass, but we don't know. I strongly suspect that a sizable portion of those players were in Game Pass, because remember how cheap it is to get in, and people keep correcting me saying, hey, the deal is gone where you can enroll. I know, they got rid of the $1 deal. It is now, you guys are going to lose your mind over this. It is now $2, and you get 2 months of Game Pass Ultimate, and then you can enroll your stuff. At least as of a couple days, well, I think yesterday or the day before when I looked, that deal was still going on. So $2 for 2 months of Game Pass Ultimate, plus the whatever gold you currently have. But anyway, so they're saying over 3 million players on Xbox. The performance easily doubled the first week of Gears of War 4 and made Gears 5 the most played Xbox Game Studio title in the first week since 2012 Halo 4. So since 2012, so what we're looking at, the most popular game from Xbox Studio in 7 years. I have to think that Game Pass was a big driver of that success, but that doesn't matter. Microsoft has a good title on its hand, and that is something that they've been missing, and Gears 5 is hitting the mark. On the PC, the title has nearly tripled the performance of its predecessor, becoming the biggest ever launch for Xbox Game Pass on PC and Xbox Game Studio, best ever debut on Steam. So the PC Game Pass, that's good data. Don't get me wrong. It's obviously a very positive thing. There's not a whole lot going on there. I mean, I know people are going to rage about that, but there's not a ton going on there like you could say on the Xbox console, but still a good launch and best ever debut on Steam. You know, that's a good thing. That's a good thing for Microsoft. It appears that Gears has been that long missing title, and it gives them something to champion on the IP side for the Xbox, which is candidly something Microsoft hasn't had for about a year or maybe a little longer. So good job, guys. Gears 5 appears to be a success for Microsoft. The one thing that this is doing, though, it's setting the bar pretty dang high for Halo Infinite, right? This is what Halo Infinite more than likely is going to be compared to when it launches. Did it launch better than Gears 5? That is going to be the conversation. And so now the benchmark has been set for where Halo Infinite has to best when it arrives with the next generation console Scarlet in about 13, 14 months from now. So they've got the benchmarks, and now they've got to beat them. Gears 5, Halo Infinite. We'll see. We will see. Then the other thing I have been keeping my eye on lately, because we're getting close to that holiday shopping season. I mean, we're probably a month, 4 to 6 weeks maybe away, is the all digital edition of the Xbox console. Interestingly enough, if you go to Microsoft.com right now and go to buy the all digital edition and you click buy, the first thing it does, it doesn't add it to your cart. It gives you a pop-up and says, hey, do you want to look at the Xbox One S disk drive bundles? Granted, they are $50 more on Microsoft.com, but that is the first thing Microsoft tries to do, is to talk you out of buying the all digital edition, which is a little awkward, but I guess they're thinking that maybe a lot of people have been buying this by accident and not realizing what they're getting. So maybe that is why that is there. Interesting, but whatever. Currently on Microsoft.com, an all digital edition is $249. On Best Buy, it's still $249, but on Amazon and Walmart, it is $207. That's not a bad deal. That is not a bad deal. But I'm hoping that when we get to Black Friday, that price point just keeps getting chipped away. I would love to see like a $149.99 deal for the all digital edition for Black Friday. I think that would sell like hotcakes for Microsoft. The question is, can they afford to do that? I suspect if they could do it today, they already would be, to help drive the sales. But we'll see. We will see. Black Friday isn't too far away. That's when a lot of people have sales in the United States and sometimes around the globe. And then there's also Cyber Monday and every other freaking reason to cut prices on things and try to drive promotions. But a lot of gaming news this week going on, guys. Hit that subscribe button and we'll catch all of you right back here next time.